years old. I thought didn't know it was a dress. She had it. I thought it's Betty's. I don't know whose it is. It was hanging there on the back of the couch.
Well, it's a new one. Who's that?
I know it's a new.
Light's on, so that means it's recording. Okay.
Alrighty, this is Friday, October
30th.
I'm just saying the date. Today's Friday, October the 30th, and we're just sitting here talking with Granny. Want to find out a few things about her life and fun times, the good times, the bad times. Okay, Granny, you were born. You can look at me. You don't have to look at the camera. You were born January 31st,
1910.
1909 or 1910?
1910. I used all my life to 9, and then Daddy was high whenever he put it down, and he didn't know the year to come in.
He wrote it in the Bible that it was 9, but it was 10.
It's 10.
Okay, so you are,
So you're a year younger than I always thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you were born in Baker County.
Baker County, and when I got my birth certificate, they had me in Georgia.
Why did they have you in Georgia? Were you just, was it close to the
There was
line?
this colored girl, though, me and Doris, the two that was, me and Aunt Rose that was, I think it was born at the same time. Anyway, they had us both over in Georgia, we was both born in Baker County.
Who is Aunt Rose?
Well, Uncle Paul's wife,
And that is
Grandpa's,
Grandpa's brother.
my aunt.
So there were two babies born at the same time.
Yeah.
And she was born in Georgia, but you
And
were born
no,
in Baker.
we were both born in McLean, but they both had us when the census picked us up. We were both in Georgia.
Okay. Well, maybe they didn't know where the
Yeah,
line
well,
was.
it was a colored lady that made everything. And
Oh.
Fanny.
Where were y'all living when you were born? Do you know
Baker
where?
County.
I mean,
But I don't.
you don't know
the Hodge
exactly.
place, but I don't know.
Don't
just
know exactly
where it's
where.
at. It was a Hodge place that was living on whenever I was born.
And you were the second
I
of
was,
13 children.
Second of 13,
Aunt Pearlie was first, and then you.
and then
And how much older was Aunt Pearlie than you?
Pearlie's
2?
almost 3 years older.
Almost
than I
3
was.
years older.
And then Bertha and me was 11 months difference.
Uh-huh.
And then from then on, it was about 2 years difference. And then whenever Bertie was, it was Pearlie and
Well, we don't need to go into all
yeah,
that.
that's what I was thinking though, but I was going
But
to.
you were the second one.
I'm the second.
And were you delivered by a midwife?
Yeah, Aunt Fanny.
Aunt Fanny.
She was colored.
I don't even want to know about that.
She was. She did all the babies out there.
Oh, she did all the babies. Grandma never had any trouble when she was having her babies or anything? That
No.
she had to go to the hospital or anything bad happened?
She never went to the hospital.
You mean y'all were all born at home?
Even Aunt Vera, the
But we
youngest
had
one?
different midwives.
Even Aunt Vera was born at home?
No, yeah. Let's see. I was trying to think. Yeah, Vera was born at home. I was trying to think who delivered Vera.
So Grandma would just work and be pregnant and then go lay down and have a baby, huh?
A plow, build a cow
They don't
pen.
make them like they used
She'd
to.
take those posts and walk through the field, dig a hole, and build a cow pen, clear ground, make her garden out there.
While she was
Big
pregnant.
While she was pregnant.
She was evidently born for having babies, huh?
Yeah, and then when we was over in Georgia, Eva and Lois was born in Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
just across the thing.
So, Grandma and Grandpa were sharecroppers. That was
Yeah.
why y'all moved around,
That's why.
what, every couple of years or so? Is that right?
That was what I was wondering. Did y'all basically stay in one place most of the time?
But in the most 2 to 3 years.
Really? Y'all moved around that much?
Hmm.
Goodness, I never
And
knew.
whoever Grandpa was working for at the time, they would provide you a house.
A house, and if we needed money to run the crop on, we got it
But
back.
he got part of the
Yeah,
whatever
and he
crop.
divided the crop.
Was it like just enough for y'all, or was it like half and half?
Well, you see, if Daddy purchased a horse, well, he got more.
Oh,
And if
okay.
the other guy had the horse, and Daddy didn't
So
have
they
the
sort of
horse,
traded off.
It just evened it up.
So he could grow just about anything. I mean, cotton or
Cotton. I picked cotton or whatever. I was growing up, all of the ones that's out there. I picked cotton with Dallas Thomas, whatever he was.
yeah.
We picked
Before
cotton.
he became a commissioner or whatever
Yeah.
he was, city council.
He's the one that got Earl the job with
Yeah.
the city.
Yeah. So that's how you learned all your gardening stuff was
Yeah,
from Grandpa.
Yeah, and Mama had her garden. She wouldn't let the rest of the kids work in the garden like she did me, see, because I done it more than her know.
Well, do you remember about how old you were when you would actually go out there and start, working? I mean, do you have any idea how old?
7 years old.
7. So, you didn't get to go to school very much, did you?
I did. I went through the first grade and then started in the second for about 3 weeks. That's it.
Yeah. So, as far as how did you learn to read so well and all? I mean,
I learned it myself.
you learned it yourself?
I learned how to read my patterns and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
So you would you didn't get to go to school very much because y'all had to work basically. I mean, if
Yeah.
you wanted to eat,
Yeah.
you had to work.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, let's see.
In World War I, we was living in Georgia,
Okay.
and Daddy was making moonshine for Duff Thomas for money to buy our groceries.
Yeah.
He'd bring the thing in there, and when the airplanes would go over, we'd think of the revenue and scare us to death. And he had it down there, still down in the river.
So he
That was
hid
the
it.
break.
It was hidden.
Yeah, he could make stills too. He made them for everybody. He was a well digger.
He was just a
still
jack of all
maker.
trades, huh?
He made furniture too, didn't
He made
Yeah.
furniture.
Well, I remember you told me that when he plowed, that one of the reasons Grandma decided to marry him was because he could plow such a straight line.
He'd put him a stake a mile across, like almost like Edgewood down there, and he'd just before he could see that stake, he'd go straight to that stake.
And this is behind a horse
behind the horse and the plow.
with the
And
plow
he'd say,
strapped
"Gee-haw,
on.
gee-haw, gee-haw," and that the mule was he'd make it go straight to that stake. See,
That's amazing.
and Daddy used to make fun of my rows. He said, "Dicie, a black snake would break his back crawling down, and they were so crooked."
Well, but you learned a lot from him. He taught you about
He
how
taught
to plant by the moon and stars and the weather and all that stuff.
yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And why the moon would be when the cold weather was done. When he killed hogs, you killed it on the full moon.
Yeah.
The bees for he castrated the pigs, and he had a certain time he had to do that.
Well, he was busy from sun up till sundown, wasn't he? I mean, there was always something.
There was always
That needed
something
to be done. Yeah.
And when I first started, when we was in Georgia, we cut cross ties, to make the railroads. That's what well, that was on the side for making his moonshine.
Well, I know you told me about the stuff that, some kind of sweet stuff from the moonshine, that there's something that would come to the top.
And so you make it so much you get 100 proof, and then when you get the other, you just finish letting it run through, but you pour it up and you put it
And there
back
was
in.
some kind of sweet stuff or something
You
told
use
me?
the sweet stuff to make it out of, the beer that you make it.
Oh, okay. All right.
And now that stuff is doctor too. Its taste is real good. You take the skin.
That's before it has fermented and gotten.
No, it's already
It's
been
already
fermented. And you had it in a barrel, and you had a thing over it, and you take that thing back, and you rake it back, and you get that out of that cup. But you took a little bit of that stuff. My brother that's died, he went out
That
there.
was Freeman that
Yeah,
died,
he
right?
thought he would go get him some. And they had an old buggy, one of these old ones with a back on it, and he had it in there, and he got him some of that stuff. And
How
he
old
made-
was he when?
He was about 9 or 10, I
Yeah,
guess.
okay.
And he got in that buggy, and he couldn't even get out. He said he
It's a
thought he was
wonder it
gonna
didn't
die.
kill him.
That's what I said.
That stuff was so strong. I
Yeah.
mean,
But it had the best taste. It was made out of what you take.
our granny likes moonshine, Laura.
Take the, I did.
I thought she was-
I said
I thought she was
I did
smoking
like the
David
taste
first.
of it, but I was afraid to. I was like Frank Jr. said. He said he liked the taste of it, but he said he'd seen so many drummers in his family. He said he was
Yeah.
afraid to even try it.
Well, that was some potent stuff too.
Yeah.
That.
But when I'd go back out there and I'd get it, and whenever that was in the wintertime when they had the cage skimmers was on, I didn't never use none of that stuff that he
Yeah.
made for Duff Thomas.
Yeah.
And then Ian was the one that delivered. Duff's mama was the one that delivered all Lois and Eva.
And Grandma, I mean, what was she doing all this time? I guess just in the house cooking and.
Well, she stayed out
I
in the
remember you
field.
told me she did stay out in the field.
She plowed too.
She did.
Cause Daddy did farm work. He did a lot of carpenter work. She raised the crop.
Okay.
See.
But I remember you telling me that about her cooking biscuits in the fireplace. You always
That
thought
was
that was
Grandma Thrift that done that.
Oh, that was Grandma Thrift that done that.
Yeah.
Okay, that was another thing I wanted to ask you. You remember your grandparents
Yeah.
on both sides?
Yeah.
There was Jim and Nancy Thrift.
Jim and Nancy.
That was Grandma.
That was Grandpa's. Jim and Nancy was Grandma's.
Was
mom and
Grandma's mom and
dad.
daddy.
And Reuben and Celie was
Reuben and Celie, that's
was,
right, was Grandpa's parents.
Grandpa's mom.
So you remember all of them
Yeah.
fairly well?
I remember, I know now what was happening, but I didn't then. When my Grandma Wilkinson, great-Grandma Wilkinson died, on Grandma Crews's mama.
Okay,
We was over there that night, and Bertha never wanted to stay away from home.
yeah.
And that's the main thing I remember, was how she cried. She was about 4 or 5 years old, I guess then, because couldn't have been there. There was just 11 months difference in her. And she wanted to go home.
Yeah.
But see, they was giving her water out of a spoon, see. And I know now that she was dying, but then I
You
didn't know
know.
that was what was
But
happening.
all you knew was Aunt Bertha didn't want to be there.
She didn't want to stay away from home
Yeah.
overnight. And Daddy wanted to stay over there with his granny.
And that was
That
his.
was Grandma
Grand-
Crews's mama.
Okay. And most of those people were born in and around Georgia and
Clinton.
out in the boondocks somewhere.
And Daddy's original families from Folkestone, Georgia, over at Henry Crews was his uncle.
Okay. Alrighty, so we're working and plowing and cooking and when did you start sewing?
I was 12 years old.
12,
I
and Aunt Allie,
started professional. I sewed some more then.
but Aunt Allie, didn't you tell me was
Aunt Allie was the one
the
that
main
brought
one?
me the
And Aunt Allie was Grandma's
sister,
sister.
baby sister.
Her baby sister. Did Grandma sew at all?
Yeah, Grandma sewed too. Now, she used to do her sister's sewing. She just made them, there was something they wore. They wore it to church
Yeah.
everywhere they went.
Yeah.
But Aunt Serena, whenever we were little, it seemed like it was whenever Bertie Freeman was little, Aunt Serena would come over there and bring Mama a dress to make. And we had a big red wagon. Aunt Serena would put all the little ones in that red wagon, take them down to the oak so they could play with us while Mama
While
sewed.
she sewed. Well, that was nice of her. You can't sew with kids around anyway.
I know, that's what I said. So.
Well, didn't you tell me one time you had a goat? Didn't you have a goat that
Yeah,
used
we
to
had
pull
to
you
go,
around?
and we had to stick his head through the fence and turn his head, and then he couldn't get down. We'd let him stay there as long as he wanted to, and then we'd go twist his head around.
Granny, that's me. But
They had to do with what they had to do.
I guess, well, that was one of my questions. I was going to ask you what y'all did for fun, but I guess that's what you did
Or,
for fun.
or
Well-
sit in OC on the pen and give her the rooster's tail and cut her hair.
Yeah.
What was that? Say again.
That was OC. And I know Mama should have killed me, I guess, but she had a rooster in a pen,
Okay.
and OC wouldn't sit still.
Uh-huh.
So
Why did you have to cut her hair? Was that something else you were
that was
supposed to?
something else. I did all the haircut. I cut my brother's hair when they needed it.
Oh,
And I was
okay.
going to make her
No
look
wonder
like a boy.
Freeman didn't want any pictures made of him.
But you see, I
But
had
anyway, Aunt O.C. was getting her hair cut.
Yeah, I pulled the rooster's tail through the top of the coop, give her the feathers,
Uh-huh.
and she sit there pretty.
So she's just, what, 3 or 4 years old
Yes.
or something like
She's
that?
about 4 or 5, I
Yeah.
guess, because I remember putting her up on the water shelf to show her in the mirror at the
Yeah.
end of it.
Well, y'all, most of y'all had fairly long hair, didn't you? I mean,
Yeah, Mom had it plaited and tied
Yeah.
on top of your head. It'd pull your eyeballs out and stretched out.
so you gave her a rooster tail to play with while you cut her hair.
But I cut my brother's and my sister's all the hair hair was
Yeah.
cut. I cut all
You were
of
just a
ours, too.
handy person to have around too, weren't you? And tell the story about, this is back to Grandpa again, about when he fell in the hole.
Oh, when he found the well.
Yeah, when he fell in the well.
Daddy had always
What was
said-
he? Was he out at one of his stills or something?
No, he was he'd been to McClenny that night.
Okay.
And he had to come back through the Florida Branch. And this old, you have never been in the dark, but you can't see your hand before you. So this old well, the
I
curb,
can imagine out in those woods, it's got to be.
and
Oh.
this curb was gone. It was just a deep. The well was there,
Uh-huh.
but the curb was gone.
Mhm.
And he fell in it, and he eventually got out. And he took his pocket knife and cut a pine tree set about that big, and stood it down in there. He said the next fool that fell in it would have some time to get down as he did.
That's amazing. It's a wonder he didn't break his neck when he
I
fell
know,
in there.
I know.
How deep was the well?
I guess it's 16 or 17 feet deep.
Oh,
My Lord.
There's a best
It
of
didn't
regular
come out
old
of it
well
without-
in an old field.
that nobody had covered up when they.
Oh
No.
my God.
It's just an open field. And see, but he let the top of that pine tree stick out of it.
Well,
He
if
said-
it was that like that big around, it would have been pretty
But
good
you see,
sized
what,
tree.
see,
Pretty
he
tall.
couldn't reach his feet across the well. It was wide enough. When he reached his toes to push himself out, he couldn't have enough of him left to push up. He
My
eventually got out.
So it's
And
a
hit
wonder
him in
any
the
of us
back.
are
He
here.
cut
Huh?
that tree.
Who taught Grandpa to play the fiddle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who
He-
taught him?
I don't, all of his brothers. Mama said it was because they wasn't no good for nothing else. Everyone played music.
Played music and drank, huh?
Uncle
They knew how to party.
Let's see, Uncle Samson played the round thing. What's it? The banjo.
Banjo, okay.
And Daddy played the violin. And now Daddy could do that
The-
harp
the
and the
juice harp.
The juice harp and the
Mhm.
harp. And then Uncle Greb, he was more or less the helper. He
Yeah.
didn't ever play too much, but he could play a little.
Yeah.
But Daddy and Uncle Noah
And they
Uncle
just
Samson,
had a musical.
there was all music
Yeah.
talent.
Did there either of their Grandpa's parents play
No.
anything? They all just the kids happened to
The
have this.
kids grew up and played,
yeah.
and Daddy
Did
played
he used to play for y'all when y'all
choir
were little?
dances, square dances, and all that.
Did he ever just play for y'all at
Yeah.
home?
No, he played that one. When he'd get drunk, he'd play this one. Scratch it in the dough pan or something.
Oh,
I
chicken
can
in the
hear
bread
it.
pan,
I can
picking
still
out the-
hear it. When I hear that same tune now,
Yeah.
I just say that's perfect.
I imagine.
You wouldn't think that you'd think.
Oh, I
that.
know.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff memories are made out of.
I know it.
Grandma didn't have any particular musical talent or anything.
No,
did she? She was just mean, huh?
But you know, since I think about it, she was real talented, I guess, to do all
Yeah.
that she did.
Well, yeah, I'm kidding.
You
I
know.
know she was. That's not an easy life.
And then she made all of our clothes. I mean,
Yeah.
that picture that I've got,
Yeah.
she made all them. I told them the only thing they do now, they put shoes on and take them to church naked. Then they dressed them and took them barefoot. We were all barefoot.
Did y'all go to church very much when
Yeah,
you
we
were
went
growing up?
quite
You
a bit.
Even Grandpa too?
Yeah.
You did?
And that old tree that's still out there, the Macedonia outside the
Yeah.
cemetery, that's where Daddy used to hitch the wagon. And that's where Mom and Daddy started going together, was there at Macedonia.
Oh, really? That's where.
That's
Is that where
their
they
court.
met, or
That
they
was their
just?
bed.
I'll be darned. Do you have any idea how old they were when they got married? I mean, were they in their?
21, and they were
Really?
both about 21.
I'll be
There was
darned.
just 6 months difference in their ages.
Yeah. So that's
That is in
a pretty
September, from July to September difference in their
Yeah.
ages.
Oh, one other thing I wanted to ask you while I'm thinking about it. I remember you told me one time about Grandpa used to come to Jacksonville every now and
Right.
then, hit on with the horse and buggy, I
The
guess.
horse and wagon.
First off, about how long did that take him to get?
He'd be gone a couple of days.
would
We'd
be.
take him something.
Did y'all ever go with him or
No, nobody would.
What was he coming to Jacksonville
Bring
for?
his
Just-
turkeys to sell them for Thanksgiving.
Oh,
He'd
okay.
bring them.
Was there any kind of hard road between Jacksonville and McClenny then?
Just a sand road. from
Just
here
a
to
sand road, so
Jacksonville
that's why it took him a couple of days to.
to drive the mule, and he took feed for the mule, and he'd
Yeah.
hitch and get out and pick him something to eat.
That's amazing.
And Mama raised the turkeys and guineas,
Yeah. So he'd
and-
bring them in at Thanksgiving to.
yeah. And then
sell.
that we raised geese. You know, that it's different than the geese that you
Yeah,
have now, the
yeah.
ones you pick feathers off
Yeah,
of. And I was the only one ever helped pick the feathers off of it. And you had to, you put them all in the stall, and then you take it, as we'd pick them, we'd put them out the gate, then we'd know. Of course, they looked so bad when you got through it.
I guess so, wouldn't you?
He looked about like that pigeon pulled over again, then he got him. And
Did y'all eat any of them, or did you
so
just?
we eat the guineas and the chickens,
Yeah.
but we didn't eat the geese.
Okay. I guess you
What
would-
were they just for feathers to make?
Yeah, you pick the
Beds
feathers
and
off.
stuff.
I got one of my pillows back there yet that I picked the feathers off. You see, they went on the rest of it. They helped Mom. You take the old goose and you hold his legs with this hand like this, you stick his head under your
Yeah,
arm.
so
and
he
put
can't
your-
see what you're doing.
Bite
His
that
neck's
guy.
so long he can see,
Yeah.
but whatever, you pick his, sometimes he'd reach over just by pitch you.
Oh, so you picked, then you made
You
feather
put-
beds out of it.
You
and-
put, you had a barrel side of it, you pulled
Yeah.
it, and then she'd put a cloth over it.
Yeah.
Then she made her beds or pillows, and
Yeah.
then she'd, did the cotton mattresses and all of that, and she made her own mattresses.
Now, back again, in these houses that y'all lived at, was there usually furniture in there of some
No, we
kind?
had our
or
own furniture.
you had to bring your own furniture with
And
you
that
wherever
one
you
time
were
when we
going?
moved, and before we got all the furniture out of the house burned down. That's what burned the bed that Daddy had built.
Oh, man,
He had it pegged together.
yeah.
Well, I remember the split log stools that we used to have at Taylor House when Grandpa and Grandma lived down
Yeah.
on Taylor Road down there by Uncle Nelson, and it had the chairs with
I remember the
rawhide
chairs, yeah,
bottoms
Daddy made
on
all
them.
those
Did he make
benches.
those too?
yeah.
And the benches too?
The table.
Really?
Well,
Cause
that-
those logs probably
Probably
Yeah.
did it
to
with his
all
pocket
the way-
knife, too.
Yeah.
You bored a hole in them like this, and then you made round legs to go in. But you took a half a log and you split it
Yeah.
open, and it made a nice bed. You'd make it real thick. I think sometimes he took it to the sawmill, maybe to have them split it.
Yeah, but I remember the
Probably, yeah.
chairs out there. I don't remember
I had a chair that I made out there. I don't, it's summers now, and Liddy's got some of the chairs that me and Daddy used to make.
Yeah.
And
okay, so when you got a little bit older, 12, 13, 14 or whatever, were y'all close enough to other people? I mean, I know y'all had friends and stuff like that, but were there people fairly close by
Yeah, we
that y'all
had
could
parents.
associate
Aunt Ada,
with?
her kids lived nearby us too.
Mhm.
And then Aunt Mary, see, when we was over on this side of the bridge, well, Aunt Mary visited Mom a lot. She was a churchgoer. She'd get up every Sunday morning to load her chariot horse and buggy up, take her kids to church. I said at that time, I guess the good Lord knew what she didn't have that long,
Yeah.
but she'd give them what they needed when they were little, and that's one reason they all growed up good,
Yeah.
was because that she really started them out right,
Yeah. Well,
even
that's
though
good.
she didn't live to be
Didn't live very long.
and the one that just
So then when y'all were like teenagers and you were, well, I guess y'all dated, didn't you? I mean,
oh
y'all
yeah,
went on dates.
I had my first boyfriend at 17,
You hussy.
and I thought that was the best looking man.
What
you
was
ever
his
saw.
name?
Romy Thomas,
Romy Thomas.
and he did now too. He died with a heart attack, but you know, he started going to this other girl. You know, she told me she was pregnant, and then he married. After he married her, he found out she wasn't pregnant.
So they were doing that even back then.
Back
huh?
then, they done it then. Well, my grandmother, great grandmother, was born. When my great grandmother had her when she was 13 years old.
Mercy, Granny.
My God.
So what did y'all, if when you had a date or whatever, what would you do?
Just sit around and let light.
And it made
Now,
babies.
Romy was.
Did y'all ever have dances or anything?
We'd sit out on the porch and we'd have peanut boilings and
Yeah,
cane and just all such
and
stuff.
just sit and talk.
Build a big fire out in the front and
Just everybody sit around.
everybody sit around and have a campfire.
Yeah.
And we had boiled peanuts, and then in the wintertime we'd have cane, boiled peanuts,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. And then this C.L. Pierce, he's dead now, but he was good of a birdie, and my brother that's dead, he was always just a big old kidder. And the C.L. Pierce, Raymond never did like him very much, so he drawn up, he didn't have ice water, so you drawed up a bucket of water and sit inside the well. And the Freeman said, I want to have some fun. He went to the house and got a sifter, or my mama sifter meal out.
Yeah.
He got him a cup of that stuff and went and put in that bucket of water
Oh, man.
inside of the well. Well, see, I'll get him some water. The Lord have mercy.
Oh,
And that was
God.
all that husk from that meal that come on top.
that-
Well, Well, that's it.
Kind of a warped sense of humor
I mean,
Freeman had.
you say they say kids have changed, they just got more to do.
They just got more trouble to get into.
Yeah.
So Freeman died when he was what, about 19, and Lois died.
10 months later, 17.
Okay. And those are the only two out of all of y'all that died fairly young.
Were y'all ever sick? I mean,
Yeah,
you were
yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about the soap poultice and all.
Yeah,
that
we
you
were
did for
sick.
your
we
leg,
doctored,
were y'all-
We doctored and was sick. And when they had the flu or anything, I was always sick up until I was about 19. But as you know, I wasn't too sick that everybody had flu or something. I'd be the one that had to do the most of the
Yeah.
nurse.
What kind of things would Grandma use to doctor y'all with? Just
So, I mean,
if
she
you
had
weren't real
I can't
sick.
remember what the stuff was, but she had, for a cough syrup, she went to the drugstore and got some kind of a stuff that she put in honey.
Mhm.
And that was her cough syrup.
But other than that, you just
Take, and
Taped
she
it
gave
up
us
and-
castor oil, and she had worm medicine that she gave us.
God, that's terrible.
And then when I was 19, they
I guess
gave-
that was one reason you didn't get sick too often.
Well,
huh?
you see,
You remember that?
whenever I had hookworms, that was the reason I was run down like I was.
Yeah.
And when I was about 19, Daddy went to the doctor and got some hookworm medicine,
Yeah.
give it to me, and then after that, I pulled out and kind of
Well, I
come
guess
out.
you would.
When I was too grown to grow anymore.
But for the most part, Grandma did all the doctoring, and y'all
Yeah.
never went to the doctor, or
And Daddy was good, the doctor.
he was.
He gave us, that's what I learned, that honey was good for croup. See,
Yeah.
that I take because it is something in it that, but they said don't put it in your mouth if you're choking because you can't swallow it, it'll choke you.
Well, that's interesting.
Just like
Okay, so, all right. So when did you come to Jacksonville for the first time? When did you?
About 1928.
So that would have made you about 18 or so
I
years
was
old.
almost 21, I think it was, but
Yeah.
I mean, it was long into
What did
28 to
you?
30.
Is that when you got the job with Miss Dorman? Is that when you came to
I was
Jacksonville?
21. I
Okay.
was 21.
Miss Dorman had a boarding
Boarding
house,
house.
and she came out to McClenny looking for somebody to help her at
Somebody
the
had-
boarding house.
Well, see, I knew that I was living with the friends of her brothers, his brothers out there.
Okay.
And that's how the way she found me.
Okay.
See, and she just took me as one of hers.
And just taught you
I was
all.
just a-
yeah.
that's
And you stayed with her for quite a while.
quite a while.
Yeah.
And,
At the boarding house, cooking
and when I moved, whatever, then.
well, no, didn't you live in an apartment or something with some other women at one time?
Well, I lived with, there's Lee Richardson and her husband. I lived with them for a while and take care of their little boy in an apartment there.
Now
And then that was when I went to work down at the Florida Avenue, restaurant there. That was, they lived.
Okay,
right
so
there.
this was before the Dormans or after the Dormans?
That was after them.
That was after. Well, I thought you went to
No,
St.
it was before.
Yeah,
It was before because,
Because then you went.
yeah,
Then you went to St. Petersburg.
I went to
with-
St. Petersburg after I left
Right.
Florence.
Okay, so you're in Jacksonville and you're living with these people, but
Yeah.
okay. How long did you work at the boarding house?
It was probably a year or so. I don't remember how long, but it was
Do you remember approximately how much it cost to stay at that boarding house?
$4 a week.
$4 a week, and that was a place to sleep. And was that 3 meals a day or
No, you just got one meal.
just
a
one
day.
meal a day? Dinner time, I presume.
Yeah.
And everybody, you had to do
And
whatever.
we had a lot of them that come from downtown to eat with us at dinner.
Oh, just to eat.
the
That
regular
weren't.
working people.
Yeah.
That found out, we cooked a meal.
Yeah.
And
Where
we,
was
we
the
got a
boarding
meal. You got
house?
a meal for a quarter.
My gosh.
Wow, and that was probably a pretty darn good meal too.
Yeah, you got
wasn't
one
it?
piece of meat and the vegetable and all that stuff.
Never made it.
Where was the boarding house? Do you remember what street
Right
it
there,
was on?
you know where the old Lions Club used to be, where them lions was on the front of that
Yeah,
building?
yeah.
And behind that building
Yeah.
that sat behind it was it.
And so while you were working there with her, I guess you stayed in that building.
I had a room in the.
You had a room there.
With her.
Okay.
And that's the reason I said that. So I first had a room and then a little room inside, and then there was a little room in the back that let use, but whatever. I had the little room in the back. Frank Jr. and Ray were just teenagers.
Now,
They were
Frank
just-
Jr. and Ray are Mr. and Miss Dorman's
Yeah,
sons.
son.
Okay.
And Thelma's the daughter. She lived there with us too, see. And me and her was standing at the foot of the little bed where I that was standing there looking at something. I can't remember what it was. It was something we were looking at on the foot of the bed. And Frank Jr., she's taller than I am. He come by and took us by the heels, threw us all the way over and put a pillow over our head. Told us he was going to smother. They treated me, I was just like a, and that's what Frank Jr. said. He said, you still are a family.
Yeah.
You know, most of the people that stay like that,
Yeah.
you're a helper. You're Laura down, but never, Miss Norman, whenever I
So she taught you all, and basically you said that pretty much the way you cook now is the way she taught you how to cook. Yeah.
Because out there I didn't cook a lot of things.
I bet you had some, I mean, did you have any weird people staying there, or were they pretty much?
We did. Yeah, we did. We
You did.
had this one man that he was dating some woman, and he had kids.
Uh-huh.
So he called her one night, and the kid said she couldn't talk now she was taking the enema.
I bet that was the end of their romance.
But you know, the poor guy didn't even
bless
know
his
what the
heart.
enema was.
Well, he soon learned, I bet.
And the one of the boys that I thought so much of, he was little like Joe was, he stayed there with Henry Bryant, and he was going to law school, but his daddy
really?
lived there, and he come up there and stayed with us a lot too.
Yeah.
And it was just a teenage place,
Yeah,
because that was all everybody.
Young people that needed a temporary place
Yeah,
to stay
place,
or whatever.
And we
Did
kept
some people stay?
Jones College, we had a lot of them, that was where the
Okay,
girls was mostly.
Okay. Was there some people there that might have stayed for quite a while?
Yeah,
and
they
almost
some
like
of
that
us
was their
stayed quite-
home?
Miss Eubanks, she was an old maid.
Mm-hmm.
And Frank Jr. Ray used to just rather do something to her, and she'd redressed her hat, and that's what the Liberace was. He was believing there was somebody on the radio way back then that she could not stand, and them boys
Would
turn
play it and play it.
and she'd get up and tear off upstairs, and she just redressed her hat, and she fell down and messed her hat up.
Bless her heart.
Crushed it when she fell on it. She just redressed it. But she worked at Levis downtown.
Yeah.
But see, she'd never been married, see.
Yeah.
And
And they just like to aggravate her.
they
She
liked
was-
to aggravate her.
She was just easy
They-
to
they-
rile.
That was their whole life, was aggravating her.
Poor thing.
Like boys
Yeah.
are.
Okay, so you were downtown. What were some of the big stores downtown?
Cohen's.
Cohen's
and
was there.
Crescent.
And Crescent.
Miss Norman sent me down there on Christmas Eve to get some more light bulbs for the tree. And I walked down, it was 2 blocks from where I lived. And I come out, the sun was going down, and I didn't even know which way I come from.
Oh, Granny.
And I didn't know enough about the place. But I eventually
But you
the-
got lost.
Yeah, right there. And Mr. Norman, he said that when he first come down, he said he went, got him a job and got him a place to stay, went to work, and when he got off of work, he forgot where he lived.
Was Jacksonville very spread out, or was it?
Yeah, it was. That was back then. That was not too much after that big fire.
Yeah.
Miss Norman remembers all of that.
Yeah, the fire was in '06, I think.
Yeah.
So there was probably still some building
There was a
going
thing
back,
to-
going on.
And she was in. you
Oh,
know,
so she would have been around when the
Yeah,
fire happened.
when that
then.
fire happened.
Yeah. And I remember you telling me there weren't any bridges across the
No,
river.
they
The
had
only
a-
way
They had a thing
a ferry or
Ferry
something
that you
to
go
go
across.
across. What was over there anyway? Was there anything?
Well, there
Well, I
was
guess-
houses once you got over there. There was
Was-
rich people lived on both sides,
Yeah.
but there was just no way to. There was just that one bridge and where we lived was close to the ferry,
Yeah.
and she'd come over there to stay all the week, and then she'd go home for the weekend.
Yeah.
Pretty girl, I could see her now. Just Ruth
Yeah.
Malone was her name.
Huh.
You know, there's things like that. They're staple on mine.
Oh, I know.
And she had homemade clothes, and they were the prettiest thing that her mama and her think.
Yeah. Was she a student? Is that
Yeah,
who
she was at Jones
Okay, so
College.
she stayed all week and then went back across the river after
And we
at
had
the
a
end
lot
of
of
the
the
week.
other girls
Yeah.
that did look at. We'd have people from out of town. We had one from McLennan that was a nurse's son. We had him there.
Mhm. Okay, so after you worked with Miss Dorman downtown, that was when she went to St. Petersburg and opened
Yeah.
a restaurant. Is that right?
I worked at a restaurant. I had the restaurant there at the foot of the Gandy Bridge next to the dog track.
What did Grandma and Grandpa think about you leaving town?
Grandpa didn't like it because he didn't like all that water circling around me. He said if it ever, a cold storm, I'd blow off that water.
So he wasn't crazy about you going down there? And Grandma probably just...
And then Mama had our syphilis when I was down there, and I come back.
She had what?
Our syphilis. That, whenever Freeman was sick, that was when I was in St. Petersburg.
Oh,
What is our syphilis? What is our syphilis?
It's an infection that you get. It started her nose and went up in her eyes, swollen till they bursted.
man.
And whenever I come back down here then,
I hope she went to the doctor.
from St. Petersburg, old Dr. Howes, the one that
Yeah,
doctored her,
yeah.
he come out and give her that shot. He said it would, he had to drive it off of her head before he could give her the shot, because he said if he give her the shot with on her head, he'd kill her, sure enough. But he drove it off her head, and then him and the nurse come out there, stayed all day, and back then I was making $3 a week, and I'd saved up $27 to
Wow,
give it to
Granny.
him.
Bless your
So you
heart.
were always thrifty.
Huh?
You were always thrifty. You always saved money and made your money and kept up with
and I
it.
made
pretty much.
I made the kids' clothes, all but Osa's. Now, a lot of times I'd give them mine, but Osa was bigger, and I had to make hers. She wouldn't, her Pearlie, or Pearlie.
Well, what about fabric? What did you use?
You use that old time, Mama called it homespun.
Yeah, homespun, yeah.
And she'd buy a bowl of that. She'd make us all a dress.
So everybody had to dress out the same
And
stuff
you buttoned
then.
it down to the waistline in the back.
Okay, so when you got down to St. Petersburg, you're working down there, that's when you met Granddaddy, huh?
No,
Down there? Oh,
no.
I thought it was.
I had two boyfriends down
Well,
there.
I know
Three of
that.
them.
Mother, we're learning all sorts of things about you. You was
But, I mean, you had,
No,
well, you
see,
always had boyfriends.
I come back when I met Joe.
Mhm.
That was when I lived with Lee Richardson and her husband over on the east side, and worked in the bread.
Oh, I thought you met him down there.
No, we could both come back up here about the same time, and I met him here.
Well, see, I'm
The
learning all kinds
the
of
two
things.
ladies that he lived with,
Mhm.
the one Sue, I think, yes, they've both been married, I guess, because there's Greens, and I lived with them. And then that was when I met Joe. I was living with Lee and, I can't think of what her husband's
Yeah.
first name was.
Well, for some reason, I thought you
I was
met him,
thinking that they met down there.
that you met down there, but
No.
he just happened to be
And you know what, he kept walking by the thing out there, and
where you live.
the boy that I was working with was my boyfriend,
Uh-huh.
Pat Patterson.
Uh-huh.
And, he,
And Granddaddy had his eye on you.
I'd went with him for about 6 years, but he wasn't a marrying type, and I knew what. And I was going with Ollie Smith,
Yeah.
and he was working in Lake City Garden Company.
He's the one that has the septic tank place. We just
His-
missed out
his
all around
son.
getting
I know,
rich.
His sons had a septic.
Yeah.
But he started going with this girl up there in Lake City, and of course he knew I went with others too, but he was going to catch me so he could tell me,
Uh-huh.
and
So he could break up with you.
so he could break up with me. So one Saturday night, me and Pat was sitting on the porch after we got through in the kitchen and everything. We was sitting out there. We were going to a show, but we hadn't went ready to go yet.
Yeah.
So, and he was decided to come town. Pat was come up there that night. We sitting on the porch light, on the swing. And that Monday morning, Ollie come in. And I said, "What you doing here now?" He said, "I started up here Saturday night and had a wreck." I said,
Oh, Granny, you almost got caught.
I'd have got caught that, but you see, he didn't get to me. But he was trying to pull him a good one on me, see.
Yeah.
And it had to go
got
separate.
it got turned around on
But
it.
now his family is still, we were always friends, and I went out there and helped with her when she was sick and all.
So Granddaddy saw you, and you were dating somebody else at the time when he
Yeah.
got his eye on you.
Yeah.
So when did you decide to give him a go at it?
Well, I don't know. I don't know why I ever did.
We don't either.
But it's like I
figured that.
But it's like I told Aunt
Well, he
Trina.
was a good-looking man, Granny. His young pictures,
And he was so nice.
yeah. Well, we learned different, didn't we?
And but whenever Well,
And he had been married before, too.
he said he'd been married 2 weeks, but that's all I know.
Yeah.
But you see, there was something fishy about that. I caught that later on when we went to get our Social Security. There was something they checked through there, and they first took me in and talked to him, and then they take him in and talked to him, and I knew there was something they were finding out that I didn't
That you didn't know.
and I still don't know,
Yeah.
but it don't worry me.
Well, it's no big
Don't
deal
matter.
now. So anyway, you decided to give him a chance.
Yeah, we went together about 3 or 4 months for.
Is that
But you
all?
know, those girls, the ladies that he
And you
lived
went with these other people for years.
That's what I
and
said.
then you go with Granddaddy for 3 months.
And that's
He
what I
must
said.
have been
Whenever
a
you,
fast talker.
I tell girls now, if they go with him for so long, he won't bear that, and you leave him and get one drink
Yeah, that's true.
because you find out too much. You just tell them.
So y'all got married at, you told
at
me
a
that,
preacher's house.
at a preacher's house.
Methodist preacher's house
Where was that at?
over on the east side,
Okay.
right there close to.
Yeah.
That we used to have a son that's a car salesman downtown. The preacher was, I forgot what his name is right now, but it's on my marriage license. But
Something else, I'm sort of skipping around here as I think of things, but at what point in time did you, well, that may have been later on. I wanted to ask you about Reverend Flora.
yeah, that was
when you met her. And,
well, I met her whatever. Oh, I wasn't even pregnant with I got pregnant with the boy.
Okay, so this was that she
That
was
was a lot of
after.
years
That was
later.
what years later
Yeah.
then. Okay, I was thinking you had known her since way back then,
No,
but evidently not. Okay. So so you and Granddaddy get married. You got married in
February the 2nd.
and that was 1935. And then Mother was born December 31, 1935.
Yeah, I got pregnant right on.
Yes, you did.
Make it. I was out there helping Mama kill hogs.
Yeah.
And Mama said, she said, why don't you stay till tomorrow or something? And I told her no. I said, I don't feel good. She said, oh, you got plenty of time. And Monday she was born. Because on
Wow.
Sunday I come home. I
So
said,
you
"Monday,
worked right up till the last minute too.
help her make sausage and all that stuff.
And that was when you were living over on Edison Avenue, is that right?
And y'all own some kind of business, didn't you say? Didn't you and Daddy own some kind of service station?
Oh,
or-
yeah, we had a service station and a
Restaurant or
restaurant down
something?
here on Beaver Street whenever the
Okay.
kids, well, that was whenever Corey was about 3 or 4 and then Earl was little tiny.
Yeah, that's, what was Granddaddy, what was his employment at the time when y'all got married? What was he doing?
Putting out samples.
Samples of what?
Samples of, they had a sample company here that they hired those boys to put them out.
Oh, just to like,
$7 a week.
yeah, just to,
Whatever.
for like new product type
New products
things.
and all kind
Yeah,
of different samples.
Yeah.
Did he speak good English when you
Yeah.
met him, or was
And he'd speak good English, and he wouldn't never talk Spanish for me, but you let somebody else come around
Yeah.
and they just talk and laugh, because they knew I couldn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so he could say whatever he wanted
Yeah.
to, huh? So he was giving out samples of something, we
Yeah,
were not
whatever
sure
was
what.
out
but,
there. And then he works the service
And he
station.
made how much a week doing that?
$7, I think,
$7
a week.
a week.
Was this before World War II? After when the World
was
War
before
II?
World
This
War
was,
II.
yeah, this
Before
would be
World
before
War
World
II.
War.
Yeah, it was for World War II.
Um,
And then
Were you working, what were you doing when y'all got married? Were you still at the
I was
Dormans?
working in the restaurant, I think. Yeah, I was working in the restaurant.
Okay, so you were a waitress
Yeah.
then, okay. Let me think here.
And then was to come back over there, and I was a waitress after I come back. I worked at Goody Goody Barbecue down there on Beaver Street.
Well,
And
when y'all got married, where did you go live?
we had a room there with Pearlie.
Aunt Pearlie and her-
I had one great big room, and I put your stove and all in there. And then Joe went down when I was pregnant when Corley was born. Miss Lowberry was supposed to watch out for me while he worked at the canal. They were digging that canal.
That's right, that's where they used to time, wasn't that the one where they used
That
to?
was when he was helping with sewer here, they tied
Oh,
when the
yeah.
road let him crawl in those things.
Yeah, because
But
he was little.
He went down there and worked digging that canal though.
What canal?
The one down the state there, whatever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he helped on that.
Cross Florida?
And he come
Boston,
home
Florida,
once a
Barge
week. He
Canal?
come home every
Well, I'll be darned. I
And
didn't know
that was
that.
when Corley was born.
I didn't know. So he was gone.
And he come home one night, it was cold, we had this little red hot heater. And we had the one big room, it was big like this, but we had a bed, red hot heater, and a little table and stove and everything in that one big room. And I put some or he did, or I did one, put some newspaper in that red hot heater and lit it, and it blowed smut all over that room.
Oh, what were you supposed to put in
Corley
it?
was a baby then in the bed, see, because she wasn't even 2 weeks old.
What were you supposed to put in this heater? Coal or
I
wood?
just no, but it was, I just let it, maybe I turned it down or something, it just blew the smut all out.
Made a mess all over everything.
All over everything.
So he was working down there and coming
That
home.
was when Corley was born.
Yeah. And I believe you, or I think Lucille told me she helped deliver Mama.
She was living across
She
the
was
street.
living across the
But
street.
Miss Rowe, she was a nurse, she lived upstairs, and she's the one who helped deliver.
Okay. Did you have any trouble with any of your, well, I know with Donnie and Ronnie you got
Well,
that blood
no,
poison or
this
something.
Klein's delivered Laura right in there. Laura come out just looking around.
And what about Earl? Earl was born
Earl
here.
was born in the hospital.
Oh, Earl was born in the hospital.
Doc-
I think that
Harold.
was the only one born at home, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Other than Corley.
Yeah.
Corley
Brenda,
was born at home, and Brenda, she was
Girls
born at home,
weren't
and the
born
boys
at
was born at the hospital.
Yeah. But Earl was born at the
Laura
hospital.
was born right there. That
Do you remember about how much the doctor bill and everything would have been?
It was $25 for Corley, I think, when she was.
No, but I mean when you went to the hospital and you
I
had.
don't remember
you
too
don't
much
remember.
about it. But
Did you? Did he go to? Were you in the old St. Luke's
the
hospital?
old St. Luke's with
Yeah.
him? But you know, he come out there. He just took me to the hospital in his car. He said he'd take
Who
me.
did?
Dr. Harold.
Dr. Harold. So the
He-
doctor came and got you and
And
took
then they
you to the
brought me home in
hospital.
an ambulance.
How long did you stay in the hospital?
From about 4 that morning till 8 or 9 that next
Oh,
morning.
that was all? Not very long, huh?
Just long enough to deliver.
Yeah.
And you know, he cried from the time he was born, and I knew I could do it was his. Once I heard him, but he, because I heard his voice.
Mhm.
And when they brought him back, and he got my finger, he began to sob and hushed.
Well, he knew it was his mom.
And he's always been that way. Whenever Mama was here, he crawled right up in the bed and there with her. And you know when he was having his blackouts,
Mhm.
he'd get there in the bed with Mama. He was about 3 then and had his bottle. And he'd say, "Granny, we're not scared, are we?" And Mr. Long that time, that he had to be to the house at a certain length of time after they said cut the lights off and stay in for a certain length of time. When this
Okay.
blackout,
Oh, during the blackouts, yeah, okay.
And Mr. Long was around there at Hotchman's Grocery. They had one of these old tin signs outside with the name on both sides of it. And he was going to try to get to the house when the time was up. He run up with that thing,
He ran into the sign?
run into the sign, trying to get to the house.
Oh, jeez. I swear. Okay, so Laura was born here. Who helped deliver Laura?
Miss Klein's.
Miss Klein.
That Miss Klein that called you to do some work for her out there, and I just did the shares for you, and you told her something about some shades or something.
Yeah, I think I
She
remember.
died since then. That was Miss Klein's daughter-in-law.
Well, with no telephone or anything, how did you get in, when you needed these people, how did you, like Dr. Harold and Miss
Oh, I
Klein?
had a telephone.
Oh, you did have a
Yeah.
phone then?
Yeah,
And then
those
the neighbors
that-
had one
yeah.
too.
Okay.
Before
We
I
had
got
party
one,
line.
Yeah,
Before
I remember
got
the
one,
party
Miss
line.
Sweat had one, and some of the neighbors would have one.
Okay, so anyway, okay, let's get back to, you were living, when Mama was, after you and Granddaddy got married and Mother was born shortly thereafter, that's when you were living over on Edison Avenue.
Edison Avenue, 1300 block.
Okay, so you stayed over there until you built this house, and that was in
Yeah.
1939, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you built,
But I was lived with Pearlie. I moved from Edison Avenue
Oh, you did?
with Pearlie and stayed with her while they built this 2 rooms. See, Bert helped him build, and Pearlie was sick, and she had to have somebody to
Yeah.
stay with her. So I stayed with her then, and Bert helped him out here for me helping to
Okay.
start. That was when Raymond was little.
Tell Brenda how you got the house, what you told the man that you wanted to get financed.
Oh
How you
yeah.
wanted to get the
Whenever
house.
I went down there, I paid by the paid
She's a
$2.50 down on my. I was supposed to pay $5 down in the lot before I started building.
$5 on the lot.
Before I started building, it was
Okay.
$3.50 the whole price of the lot was. But whenever then I told him, and I went back, or called him, I even went back and talked to him, I think. I said, well, I want to start. He said, you mean you got faith enough to start? And he said, if you have, I'll agree to it. And I paid $2.50 down, and then it took us for years to ever pay for it. You know, I had to pay such a little bit. But I probably paid
But she had already gone out and bought lumber to start the
I
house
bought
before she
$40
paid her
worth of
down
lumber on
payment
the
on
credit.
the lot.
And then I bought
You do
about
have faith.
$40 worth of lumber on the credit, and I bought the windows to go in it down at Towers Hardware down there. I bought them $40 worth of windows on the
So
credit.
I believe you told me one time you were, what, the third house on this street or something? Mr. Hall was here.
Miss Sweats, that Mr. Murray had his,
That's next door
Next
where Miss
door.
Cochran is now.
and that went up on the corner,
Okay, so you were about
each corner. That was the Wilsons had them.
So the street sort of started at this end.
And Mr. Hall,
And
he
Mr.
wasn't
Hall.
married, but he was out here.
Okay, and he built.
He built the first little thing he built there. That first little nook like was where he lived. He built that for $25
Amazing.
and lived in it.
About how much did it cost you to build this house, approximately? I mean,
Oh, they paid.
well,
up
I know you
to
added
start with.
on and everything, but
Yeah.
just to
But
start.
I never, see, I'd have to get a little loan, and then whenever I got some more work done, but I wouldn't never go over $15 a month because I knew I couldn't make the payments, so whatever I could do for that amount.
Yeah. So
And then
you get $15 worth of something, huh?
And Mr. Murray helped him box that in back there during the war.
Yeah.
And I'd cut boards, and then whenever I had to have Joe to help me hold them or something.
So you actually cut boards and nailed and hammered and
I
built this house?
made all the seal and all that back there. And then Uncle Fado made this little end on there, and I
Yeah.
sealed it.
So when this house, the original part of this house was what? The living room?
Right here to that big door.
To the kitchen, or to the big door in the
Big door.
kitchen? Where
And
where was the kitchen at that point?
The stove was over there back of sitting about the wall. My icebox was sitting here behind the door, and my table,
Uh-huh.
and my bed is sitting in here. I didn't have the house sealed. I tied Brenda a Corleone rope up to the seal in the speaker's swing.
So you could keep track of her, huh?
Yeah.
So it was just these two rooms to begin with, is all you
The
had?
hole's still there under the carpet where I had my icebox. It was one of
Really?
those little,
I'll be darned.
Was it an ice box?
A real
or an
ice
electric?
box
put ice,
where you
like
put
you put
ice
ice
in
in
it?
it.
Yeah.
the iceman come put ice in it.
And what, he come once a week or something?
Whatever,
or-
he'd come 2 or 3 times.
How much
but
did
you
the
just-
ice cost you?
I don't remember.
Probably
It was
not
very
much,
little
a
bit.
nickel or something.
And we used to have milk delivered to our
Yeah, we
door,
had
didn't we,
milk
when we were
delivered
little?
here, too. And then, whatever.
Parrots Dairy. Wasn't it Parrots Dairy?
Well,
There
I
was a
forgot what
Parrots
dairy it
Dairy.
was, but they brought it by.
It seemed like it was Parrots Dairy.
Okay, so you got the, and then like you say, just as the years went by, you just added a little bit more on, a little bit more
Well,
on.
see,
and-
when I got this, and that, when I had this, it wasn't even sealed or anything. Then I had moved down and did the restaurant. While I went down there, I had got somebody to build me that room over there, and they sealed these.
Mhm.
And then one of my cousins lived here then, until then when I got pregnant with Laura, I
Mhm.
believe it was when I got pregnant with Laura, I knew I couldn't take the station anymore, so Nelson's sister took it over, and I moved back out here, and then Joe went back to his
And you
church.
had an outhouse out back too, because I
Outhouse.
even remember that outhouse still sitting there
Yeah.
when I was 6
You
or
do?
7. Yeah, I do. I remember.
I don't
I remember
remember.
that outhouse.
And it
It was in that
Well,
where the
it's on that
chicken
corner.
pen.
No, it's over there behind where the little house is at. It's right in
We
that corner.
had a little, we called the little house.
Yeah.
No, I know the little,
That was
wash
outside,
house.
You see,
yeah,
one
the
that
wash
was-
house.
That's the one I fell off of.
The,
But I remember that outhouse.
but you see
out
that
there.
outhouse that was on the corner of
It was
every
just-
lot. This lot.
I thought it was on this far corner.
It's on
over
that.
here.
It's on that corner right there, back of the house.
Maybe that was their outhouse that I
They're
remember.
out. Well, that's out. Hers is see. They were on the outside corner of each one.
But I remember an outhouse over in this corner. I don't think it was
It
used
was on that
when
corner. Yeah, but the Miss Hot.
Well, maybe this. Who lived next door here when
Miss
originally?
Amy. She was Miss Amy lived there, but she was Miss Bates, and that's what Joe called her, 'cause that's what he'd always knew her by. See, but that's where her outhouse was on that corner.
Okay, that might be the one I remember because I remember one over in. I mean, it wasn't used or
I
anything,
don't.
but
I can't remember her having an outhouse.
Well, I remember one out there, unless I'm
But it
dreaming.
would have been on, usually 'cause mine was on the out corner there,
Mhm.
and Long's was on the
I
out
don't
corner
remember
over
it. The
there.
only time I remember anything
I
being
don't
built out in
remember.
that back was what we call the little house.
I
That was where
think
she
what
kept her
the-
chicken feed and did her washing and all, was a
Well,
little
the wash
place,
house,
and
I
before
remember
it was connected
the
to
wash
the house.
But
Yeah.
my outdoor thing was right back in that corner there.
Or maybe I'm dreaming, but I would have swore I remembered an
I used to
outhouse
have,
out there in that corner.
3 rows of potatoes from the end of the thing here. I cleared the land and made little potatoes. I had a whole big bank of sweet potatoes that I banked back of across the.
So you've been
lot.
growing
That's it.
stuff on this yard
And
since
then
day one.
I used to
huh?
have a garden from the back of my lot to the first street back there.
Wow. So there wasn't anything behind you then for.
We used to play in the foundations when we were kids,
Oh,
when
really?
they started building those houses
Yeah.
back there. We was in
I
probably
guess that-
elementary school.
I guess that's why those look somewhat different over there
Yeah.
than the ones along. I mean, they were just built at a different
Period.
time or whatever.
Well, that back there was where it was an old field, and we used to blueberry pick out
Yeah.
there in the
No
back
no
field.
streets or
and
anything,
that-
no.
didn't you
Kids
have a
had-
hog pen or something
Yeah, I had
Out
a pig
there?
pen back there.
that
Wow.
you kept a pig in? But all of this was field, pasture land down here when we were little, 'cause Corley could wander, and she'd take off across the field, and you could pretty much hide out in
Yeah.
there, and your mama usually do that,
Yeah.
you know, she'd stay hid out somewhere. But all of this was field, and it wasn't woodsy like a forest, pine
Yeah, but
forest,
just
but it was a bunch of woods.
Woods
And you could go get lost in the
palmettos
yeah, the
and-
high
And
grass.
I went down into the field back there and dug up crepe myrtle and set them all up down the fence. And then after that was when I had my back problems
Mhm.
and, started going to the chiropractor.
In the early days when you first moved in here, where would you? Were there any? Where were the stores? Did you have a grocery
We had
store?
Hodgman's around on the corner.
Okay, they had a grocery store. I thought they just had the clothes.
And then
they had
down on
grocery
there where the Osteens is at, there was a man that had a drugstore, but it wasn't this. He had a drugstore and a restaurant, but it was just a little old building
Yeah.
on the corner.
Where the shopping center is
Yeah.
now,
Mhm.
basically.
And then Hodgman's was around there, and that building around here at the corner, that 2-story one, that was a CNC grocery, and I
Okay.
got biggest. That was my
Okay,
biggest
that was a
store.
little grocery store.
And then
around
we
there.
still had the A&P. I'd walk down to the A&P and back up in Beaver sometimes to get
Okay,
stuff.
alrighty.
Who had the little store that was right around here on Broadway?
That was
Cause I remember going there. I remember you sending me
I
around
was
there
trying to
get
think
stuff.
what there was, but that's the one Ronnie used to work for. He'd go around there to make his spending money. He was about 12, 13 years old, and he'd
Seemed like it
clean
was
the kitchen
Williams
for
or
her,
something.
iron her clothes, and clean the store. But that's what I told him. I said, I think I watched this. I've been watching this on TV about these kids that's giving their mothers a fit, but. That man told us before, there's a lot of it that started when they were little and when they didn't do right for them.
Well,
They tell them straight about it.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know.
but like I said about things like that, but I started, and I'd let y'all go do something, even when I kept y'all. I don't do this or go do that or go do the other. And I didn't look to see whether it was a boy or a girl or a boy or a doll, but
Just
it
needed
was
to be
who had
done,
to
yeah.
be done, had to be done.
Yeah.
And Earl, when he was going to school, I was doing something, he got there, cleaned the kitchen, cleaned the stove, and all that stuff, and then
Okay, so let's see. You're here. You built this house, and and Lucille moved over here on the street about
Yeah.
the same time. I
Yeah,
think you
she
said you
moved
talked her
right
into.
and she didn't have no windows in hers. She had black tire paper tacked over.
Oh,
And Joe Perez come out here one day, that's Edith's husband. He said she was just scrubbing that tar paper so she could see through it. But they all said, we started that way. And a lot of them thought they had to have it built to start with. So,
Yeah.
But they said we
but
said
she didn't even have any windows in her house.
No,
Huh?
and she had that she just took a piece
I
of
bet it was
roof
hot in there too.
and tacked over.
Oh man. Okay, let me see what else. So you're living here, and you kept just having babies left and right, and every time you turn
No,
around.
I had that, then waited 9 years and had 2 more.
Yeah, that's right. There was a pretty good gap in between.
No,
Yeah, 'cause
they
I was
had-
8 years old.
They had
boys, when we-
you had your 8th birthday when I was in the
they was in the
hospital with
hospital.
babies.
And you had a pretty bad time with
She
Johnny
was
Ronnie.
real
sick.
bad.
and
They
she
didn't
was
expect
sick
me
the
to
whole
live.
time.
And Miss Dorman, she come out, well, she come out and stayed with me before it all. And Lucille stayed with me 6 weeks before the babies was born.
Gracious.
Slept right there for the
Because you
bedroom.
gained quite a bit of weight and
Oh,
all
I
too,
swole
didn't you?
it so bad.
Yeah.
On
She
the
had
inside
the-
of my state down there, it was just about like that with clear water. I had to just bend along and hold a chair to get to the bathroom.
She was sick. I can remember her being sick. And Aunt Osie had Redan. Redan's
Yeah,
older
Redan's,
than the
yeah.
boys. So Aunt
Yeah, about a
Osie-
month or
Yeah, Aunt
something.
Osie was around, but
And
she
then,
didn't do much because
And then you see, whenever
she was so
Osie got
sick.
back out and got back to work, well, Rita was about 3 years old, 3 or 4, and I had the boys, and then you come along. And whenever there was 3, about 3, 4, and whenever your mama went to New York, she left you here with me, and they had a little old evergreen switch, and I'm sitting on a thing on the back of the door, that little couch I had in there,
I remember that couch behind that door. It
And,
was there for a long time.
and they, well, it had that switch swinging it like that, and your head was just as bald as it could be, and that little old keen switch it, and draw a red streak all the way across your head.
Great.
And
And then
it
Rita,
had-
Rita dropped me on my head, didn't she?
Yeah,
Or no,
she
she
had-
came in.
she
How
come
old
on,
was
she?
when she was little, she got her off, just come and got her off the couch,
Yeah.
and I had to look around her, and she was coming with it.
That's
But
why.
when did Aunt Osie and them live in the trailer out in
Yeah.
the backyard?
Yeah, they had it right there in the backyard.
And
Why?
Osie
I mean,
did?
the yard doesn't seem like it would have been big enough to have handled.
Well,
Well,
remember we
there
had
was a
that
good bit,
trailer
see,
over
there's a good
here.
bit
Yeah.
on there, see, this room wasn't built on the end, it was.
Oh,
for
is that
here.
what it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
And I
Osie
could-
lived in a trailer out here? Who was she married to?
Roy.
Roy, okay.
And then they moved the
Well,
trailer.
it's a good thing all you sisters like each other. Y'all lived with each other
Yeah,
a
that's
lot,
what I was
didn't you?
They did that back then. I mean,
Yeah,
you,
you
you
stayed
were
with
a family
whoever.
unit.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, that's what I
did that
told
a
them
lot.
now, and I told them now that I said the main thing that I want everybody to do whenever I'm not around to coax it is for y'all to stay together. I mean, make it be a family right on.
I know.
It's like I said, you know, everybody seems like right now is getting closer together than we've been in a long time.
Well, didn't you tell me also you lived with, or Aunt Bertha and Uncle Nelson lived with you? Was
See, what
that
happened?
here in this house?
No, we lived up on Edis, 2600 block of Edis. That's where I was living when I moved to Pearlie's. It was 2600 block of Edison
moved a lot.
Avenue. When Waddell
That's
was
surprising.
born. See, I worked at the Frosted Food in back of there on Roselle, right there close where
Yeah.
Dad's got his thing.
Yeah. Mhm.
I worked there, and I walked down there, and Corley was just talking, you know, and all
Uh-huh.
that. And but if it rained, she'd say, "Don't let it rain till my mama comes home." And Bertha would sing to her, "Don't rain,
Yeah.
rain, go away till my mama comes home."
So you lived with Aunt Bertha and Uncle Nelson.
Yeah.
You lived with Aunt
We
Pearlie.
entered a whole house
Mhm.
and divided it.
Yeah. And Aunt Osie lived out
Then we
here. at
lived
one
with
time.
Hazel and Carl. We first lived
Who's
with
Hazel and Carl?
That was a friend of mine.
Oh, okay.
And Lucille
Gosh,
lived
Brenda,
with.
you moved around a lot, didn't
I
you?
know we did, but
No
you
wonder
couldn't-
you'd stayed in
you
this
couldn't-
house so long.
You couldn't afford to rent on the whole house, so we two of us
Yeah,
would rent a
that's
house.
true. When you
and
only
we'd
made
take our
$3,
water and pour it in the bathroom, and
when you only made $3 a week, it didn't.
you don't.
You couldn't have rent a whole place, I guess.
You couldn't,
Yeah.
and you didn't have nothing like they say now. Welfare and this and that.
Say right after you and Granddaddy got married, you know, the first few years or so, what was the rent that you would pay on an apartment or something?
About $35 a month for a whole
A house, for a whole house, you'd pay $35 a month.
I think that's about what it was there. We
And,
played on a 3-bedroom house.
Yeah. So you would split that with whomever
We
was
divided
living with
and
you.
then
then.
we just split it up.
What would I don't know if you what would a new car cost about then? If you do you
I
have
don't-
any idea about?
I don't think they,
No,
my daddy
y'all
and
never
mama
had a
never
car.
owned a car till
Yeah.
Bob and I got married and Daddy
Yeah.
bought that 48
Yeah,
Chevrolet.
There wasn't many people, even whenever we were growing up, out there in McClintock.
Well, that was the other thing. How did y'all get around like you did? And you didn't have a car or
Well,
anything.
you didn't go to McClintock but once a week. You
How
just-
did you get out there when you did go?
Well, we walked a lot of times. They'd get about 25 of us and walk back and forth to McClenny
You're
and,
kidding.
and play. Uncle Lonnie that's just died, we used on Sunday afternoon, we would, Uncle Lonnie and Uncle James and Harley, Lily, and all of us, when we were all single, would come down there, the old depot's still there. We'd come down there playing that thing and run up and down.
What depot?
And
A
McClenny,
train depot?
whenever we were growing up.
Yeah.
And Uncle Lonnie, and see, Uncle James and me's the same age. Uncle Harley's younger and Uncle Lonnie's older. And we all dated together out
Yeah.
there. I mean, I was in the crowd and
Yeah.
whoever's
You were
going.
just all about the same age.
all about
and
the same
hung
age.
out together.
They just go home. They had an old T-bone car. That's what we went down to put in.
So y'all crammed into
All
that
crammed
car
in
and
And that's what Lois fell off of. That was when I was living in St. Petersburg. They think that's what caused that inflammation of her heart when she struck her back against the ground.
man.
There was in it and standing.
Yeah, on the running
And
boards.
they took her to the doctor, but Mama's old uncle was a doctor, see, but they said she wasn't hurt, but she lived several years after that.
Yeah.
But
But you never know.
she never complained with nothing but her back hurt. But
Oh,
it
darn.
jar they got inflammation busted with the arteries to her heart, I think.
So I guess basically if you, well, in town, if you needed to go anywhere, you
Does somebody
just walked. And you were telling me the other day, we were watching that thing on TV about the trolley cars and everything that
Yeah.
used to be downtown.
We used to ride the trolley cars out there when I lived on Medicine Avenue.
They
And
came
we
on.
rode city buses when I was
Yeah.
a little kid. When I started to school, they had city buses, but they only come to Melts. They come up Melts.
Yeah, because that was a
And
city,
you had to
city
walk.
limits.
Yeah, you had to walk up and down. Walk from
I'd
here.
take me a watch rag and take them down the
The
corner.
other day, I was out walking over in my neighborhood, and there's still a couple of streets over there that are brick, and I saw the trolley car. You still see where the trolley car tracks were in those old brick streets over there. So I guess they just were like the buses now. They went everywhere in town that you needed to go.
Well, the street cars was all you had.
Yeah.
You didn't have no buses.
Yeah, the street cars, I mean, but they were like buses today. That was how you rode and got around.
Well, our
town.
mailboxes, weren't the mailboxes down there on Melton Avenue? And we
Avenue.
used to catch a bus. And if it was raining, because this road was sand, dirt, Mama would carry a washcloth and we wouldn't wear our shoes. And when we get to the bus stop down there, she would wipe our feet off and put our shoes on.
Get on the
And
bus.
get us on the bus and put the washcloth in the mailbox and pick it up when we come home.
Oh, Lord.
And used to make when Donnie and Ronnie came along, Donnie and Ronnie hated to go tell her mama because it was about the only time she could get them sit still and she'd spit shine in their
Oh,
ears on the bus whenever they were
I've had
little.
my ears cleaned out on the bus many times. The granny said that was the only time she could hold
Catch us
the
down,
still
yeah,
long enough to
do
clean it.
anything.
But that's what I look at. I've been watching, like I said, I've been watching that on TV. And it is, just like they tell them, it is, a lot of it is the mothers and daddy's fault.
Yeah.
And that lady, the one this morning, I think, said that 90% of the problems in the families today is drug.
Yeah.
I know.
There's not the family like like you used to live
Yeah.
with your
Your
sisters,
sisters
and all.
and
You don't
yeah,
even
you
have
don't do
sisters that can stay in the same house with each
No,
other, let
much less-
alone.
much less live together.
Yeah.
I was trying to think about how long that thing will probably stop on us here in a minute. We may have to go to a new tape. Okay, let's see what else. Can you think of anything what about during the war? What was it like during World War II? Of course, Granddaddy didn't have to go because
but
his leg.
Otis was in it.
That's right, Uncle Artis. He was
But,
at Pearl Harbor.
He grew up in Pearl Harbor. But that's what, Reverend Flora, that's one of the main things was the service boys that she would always pray for.
Yeah.
And then,
So Uncle Artis was in
in-
Pearl Harbor when
he
the
was
Japanese
blew up in
attacked.
Pearl Harbor. It was about a year that he couldn't even raise his arms up.
Really?
And then come home
Yeah.
and be a preacher.
A lot of people died that day over there, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
That's what he said. He knew the Lord left him here for so.
Did we have anybody in World War One? Was there any family?
Yeah, Mama had a lot of first cousins.
A lot of first
And
cousins?
they come back the same way, just like Otis did. Some
Yeah.
had lung problems. And
Yeah.
everyone was spendthrift and arch. And
when that happened, I guess Uncle Artis was just in the what? Was he in the Navy?
He was in the Navy.
He was in the Navy, and he was just happened to be stationed at
He
Pearl
was on
Harbor.
that ship. That they
The
blew up.
Missouri, I
That
think
blew
it-
up. The
yeah, the
when
Missouri.
they blew up.
How did y'all? Do you remember? How did y'all get word of it, or?
I don't remember, but it was he had to have someone to even write his letters and all.
Was
for
he
you.
married at that point?
He married
was
after a couple.
after he come home.
And he sent Mama's
So he was in the hospital quite a while.
almost a year. And he sent Mama, when he was in the service, he sent Mama his money all the time.
Yeah.
And she put up for him, and he bought him a new car.
Oh,
when
you're
he come home.
kidding. Well, that was nice of
Well,
her.
wasn't Uncle Earl in the service too? Or was he? 'Cause
Yeah,
I
he was
seem to
in the
remember
service,
him
but you
in
know,
a
I can't remember.
uniform.
Earl was in the Army.
Yeah, it seemed like he was
I
in a
remember a
dark
picture
uniform
somewhere.
or
But
something.
didn't he, I got a picture of
Yeah,
him
that's
somewhere.
that
That may
But
be
I
what-
was trying to think, was he in the
I don't think he would have been in World War II.
I don't
Would
think
he? I
so
think
either.
it was
I think-
probably Korea.
it was a
or
Yeah.
Korea
something.
War, it was in between there.
Yeah.
Probably Korea.
Yeah.
But Otis was staying here with me when he went to service.
Why does that not surprise me? So he was over there for a year. What about during the war? I know there was a lot of things that were rationed
Yeah,
that you couldn't.
sugar and
Sugar
stuff,
was
all
right.
of this.
They gave you the coupons
They
and
gave
stuff.
coupons to get it with.
Bacon, wasn't it?
There was several different things. I
Yeah.
don't remember all of the things,
Yeah.
but
And y'all did you have to do you didn't, surely you didn't have to do the blackout windows and all that stuff,
no,
did
we
you?
didn't
No.
have we didn't have winter to black. That's just how those things. But like I said, Lucille didn't have a blackout.
Of course, that was probably just people on the beaches
Yeah.
mainly that had to do that. But
Probably closer to
so other than Uncle Artis getting hurt over there, the war probably really didn't affect you
But you
all
see, I
that
had
much, did
I
it?
had Daddy was ready to go. There were 6 of us kids. Daddy was ready to go to World War I, but it broke.
Uh-huh.
And then whatever.
Yeah, because he would have been just about
then-
the right age.
He'd been right
Why
in-
didn't he have to go?
because it broke. He was already
I
ready
see.
to go.
I
He was
see.
ready to go, and it was 6 kids. And then whenever Artist was in the next group, see,
Mhm.
and then Ronnie is in the next
Yeah.
group, so I've had one.
Had one in every war.
And then
just
now
about.
Richard, I've had one in
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
In
I don't
all
guess
the
you.
things.
I don't guess you would know unless you just heard stories or something. Was there anybody in the Civil War that you?
Well, quite a few, but I mean, I didn't keep
You
up
probably.
with
I
too
mean, yeah, I'm
much.
sure you probably didn't know
No,
anything too
too much.
closely or anything.
But see, I know Mama's cousins and all that was in World
in
War
World War
One.
One, yeah. Let's see. And okay, well, let's talk. Tell me about Reverend Flora. Where did you meet her?
That was when Corley was sick.
When she was
Helen.
a baby, or
No, whenever Corley was baby and she was sick
uh-huh.
was when I met Reverend Flora, when Corley was about 6 years old.
Okay.
Helen lived next door there,
Okay.
and Corley had she had strep throat,
Mhm.
and it gave her rheumatic fever,
Mhm.
and she's swollen. And Helen said she come over, and she, poor Helen is dead now too. Helen Murray is. She died at 72 with a heart attack. But when she come over, I can remember that I had Aunt Allie's washing machine.
So Helen is the one who knew
Helen
Aunt
Murray
Flora,
was
or
my
Reverend
real
Flora.
close friend. She
Okay.
was, that's where her mom went to church.
Mhm.
It's been
Where was Reverend Flora's church?
over at
Spencer
Spencer Street. The
Spencer.
building's still there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And whenever Helen come over, and Brenda Corley had been real sick, and Helen come over and told me, she said, I know somebody can help you if you go see her. And I went to see
You were
Reverend
willing to
Flora.
try anything. Huh?
And I was in the notion, it's like
Yeah.
Miss Bidoff said some people say, well, I wouldn't do this or I'd do that. She said, if I thought to help one of my youngest,
Yeah.
I'd eat little dookie.
Yeah. So Reverend Flora was sort of, I guess you'd call her a faith healer.
She was a faith healer.
Yeah. And
Big woman.
real big.
Big
Yeah.
woman.
Really?
I've got her
She was-
picture.
Yeah, I remember that picture of her sitting in the chair.
And
but I
she
didn't know
always
she-
wore those white long
And I thought about the
robes
other day, I
out the
thought
room.
about something. Did I ever give you Miss Adams' picture, your first Sunday school teacher? A lady sitting on a chair with a big hat on. I got thinking about it the other day.
No, but that reminds me, what was the man's name? You had the picture of me
Mr. Hugh.
Mr. Hugh. I can never remember that man's name, and I wanted to get it down on tape so I would remember what his name was. He lived in this house next door. Because that picture, I couldn't have
He'd
been
come
but
over and
3.
help me do things. And it would have happened. That's so bad if I done it. You know, that's the reason I said, you know, how people get into things like that.
I know.
You know,
Temptation everywhere.
If you're human and you can feel it.
Was he married?
Yeah, he had his wife over there. That don't make any difference.
Well, I know that, but
But I mean, you know,
it's just like me to find somebody like that
that's
to hang
what I
around.
said.
Huh?
That's the reason
He
I
was a
said
nice old man.
Yeah.
really.
That's
I
the
don't
reason I
know.
said
I remember
it.
it.
The neighbors start going with each other. They don't know that
Let's see.
that things like that can happen.
I know. Well, you know, like we've said before, Granny, that stuff's been going on since day one,
And it's going on.
and it'll go on till the end of time, I guess.
Yeah,
So,
well, it will.
But anyway, well, I'll see. Can you think of anything else?
Do you know when Granny first built this house, it was up off the ground? Do you remember Granny filling in dirt around
The
here? Do you
kids
remember?
played under the front porch.
We used to
Saturday.
play under the front porch that was on here in the summertime.
Wow.
They had, and Granny would build a
Was it on like those square concrete blocks like you
was
see out at
2
in
blocks high, but
McKinney?
you could go all under. But whenever I had just didn't have it all floored, and when Corley was little, there was a road went through where the porch was at, and there was deep ruts, and when it rained, the rut, well, then these little old rain frogs.
Well, part of that was to help keep the house cool, wasn't it? Wasn't that one of the reasons you built the house up off the ground?
You
or
build
not?
it up like that and filled in. If I hadn't, it'd have been sitting on the ground. It's
we
pretty-
every year you had to have loads and loads and loads
Yeah.
of dirt
Yeah.
brought in,
And I think
that's
mine
how
washed
it
down the
eventually
street
got built
because
up.
everybody
Where-
else is about as high as mine
Yeah.
was.
But
That's
she
all
used
that-
to store her canned stuff
I-
underneath the edge of the
I
house.
put me a
There's no
screen
telling
door
what we
under
might
there,
find under
set the
here.
jars under there, put my mashed potatoes under there.
'Cause it was
Put 'em on
cool.
the screen
Yeah.
door.
Yeah.
But we
You
used to
wouldn't think-
play under the house.
It's
And
hard to
when they
believe that
was-
this house was
That high,
That high
and
off
the
the
house
ground.
has not moved. It's just she's filled in with dirt every year.
It's amazing.
And the year that Donnie and that we found the oak tree when Donnie and Ronnie were little out there, that oak tree that's
Yeah,
in the corner of the
That
yard.
big.
She
They
said
had
that
a
it
picture in it. Rita had some pictures of it.
had a
They-
gardenia bush and a rose bush
There was
and an
a
oak
red,
tree.
a lemon tree and a red rose and
Yeah.
a oak tree. And the oak tree made it, and everything else died out around it.
That oak
Yeah,
tree.
because even now when I look at pictures of how, even when I was small, how tiny that tree was out there. And it's
Well,
just
you see them two
amazing.
across the street. One of them's done been dug up, but that one that's there now, they've cut the top out of it, and it was over on that other corner, and it was about that big. This start of it had been digged up, and put over on that
Yeah.
side, and the
Well,
other
it did well there.
And
And you had that picket fence around there.
I had a
I've
picket
seen
fence around the
pictures.
yard.
That was when I was a baby.
yeah, and whenever that was when the boys was baby too, because they couldn't put their foot over it and get over.
Was that the idea behind it? Why did you take it down? Did it just rot and fall
It
apart?
fell down. I had a wide board around the porch.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Dobbs run down here one night. His baby lost her breath, and he run down here for me to help him with her. When he jumped over the board, he hooked his foot and hit the floor, and she caught her breath.
Well, all's well that ends well, huh?
And we
That's right.
did you know Mama used to have boarders that came in here?
Yeah, I
all
remember.
the
Yeah,
time?
even when I was little, I remember.
Kept
Yeah, a
boarders.
couple of people that would come in
And we
stay.
always lived in this
And that
part
always-
in
yeah.
that part of the house.
Because they always used the front bedroom, didn't they?
Yes,
That was the
the
room
boarders.
you always. Yeah, I remember.
I knew
a
it
few
that lived
people.
with me last. She had another kid after she moved to the beach, and they're both
Yeah.
married then. The
Yeah, I
kids
do.
are
I do
when
remember a few people coming in and out.
But I said, just like I said, people say they can't make a living, but I've made it.
Yeah.
If you're willing, God's willing to help
Yeah.
you. He'll give you
And
something.
we all got to be like family, you know.
Yeah.
They come
Mhm.
in and go, and we just
Except for
we're
that
all-
crazy man you brought home that time.
Oh Lord,
Yeah.
Ray.
That's what I said. But did you know his granny? I got letters from
I
her.
know.
I guess you did now, but she said that was the Lord's.
Okay, you were down at the shopping center
was at
one
the
day,
grocery store.
and you started talking to him,
And he's telling
and
me
he's giving you this
this sad story
sad
what he was
story.
paying around there.
Uh-huh,
And
uh-huh.
I said, well, I
You
got
said,
a
well,
room.
come on home with
I
me.
got a room around
What are we
here.
all about?
And Lucy lived back there in the little house then. and she had a teenage daughter.
Uh-huh.
And whenever he come, Ray, I don't remember. You remember what Ray looked like?
He was
He was
Nice.
tall and skinny, wasn't he?
He wasn't real
No,
skinny.
he wasn't real skinny.
I remember him
He
being
was,
tall.
He was just a
he was
nice
probably
person.
about the size Earl is now.
Yeah.
And
When,
Maybe because I was little.
yeah,
just
he was
seemed
tall, but he was about the size
But come to
Earl
find out,
is.
he was a schizophrenic.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I got letters in there from him now, that his granny told me though, said God sent him to me.
Well, how long did he stay here? He didn't
He
stay
stayed
here
a few weeks.
Yeah.
Then from
Wasn't
there,
very long.
they
Yeah.
took him to he was over there holding up Brother Gray. He was supposed to take church over. He said that's what he was making a preacher, what he'd have on his belt.
Yeah.
And he called, the church called, I think maybe Lucy had the phone, or I guess I had the phone in too. But Lucy took me over there.
Mhm.
And he was holding Brother Gray hostage
Oh,
with that
mercy.
knife. And it hurt me so bad, it hurt me almost like my kid to say,
Yeah.
take him
And they took him, did they
take
take
him
him?
to the university, kept him out there, and they took him to McClinty.
Yeah.
But his granny said that, see, he'd been that way all of his life, and she said that what it was, that he was just, that's what affected him. His mama brought him to her when he was about 5 years old. There was 3 of them. It left him.
Mhm.
It didn't want him. I don't
So
know.
he'd just been
Her grandson.
strung from pillar to post.
And they probably
Anyway.
didn't understand as
Yeah.
much about
Yeah.
all
And
the
then
illnesses.
she couldn't tell him that so she had to tell him his mama was dead. And that's another thing. He said, I'm going to find my mama's grave one day.
Bless his heart.
And,
Do you know if he's still alive? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I've been thinking about. I've been had him on my mind because he had 2, the other 2 was younger.
Yeah.
Anybody could probably call.
Oh, he
the-
did have brothers or sisters?
He had
or?
a brother and a sister, but they were younger, but it didn't affect them, see.
Yeah.
It just affected, just like Rita was when Roy left her. That young come all around doing that same thing.
Yeah.
It affects her brain.
Yeah. Well, something's gone, something's not right.
And but his granny, she'd write and talk to me just like she was sitting with me and said, I got apple pie, I wish you was here to help me eat some of it or
Yeah.
something. But she said the good Lord sent him to me because that nobody else hadn't done nothing done for him.
Yeah.
He could have got killed just as easy as I found.
Yeah. Well, I guess you did him some good. Let's
Well, that's
hope
what I
so
said,
anyway.
that, I stop and think. And another thing that I've been watching in my life here lately is a lot of this stuff that go on that I done after it's all said and done. I done some of the things that I was supposed to do, just like they have a
Oh, when you look back.
when I look back
Yeah,
on it,
and
even raising
and
my
see.
kids,
Yeah.
doing for your kids, talking to my kids, and they say talk to a kid just like he's a grown up.
Yeah.
And that's what I always did to my babies. I say, don't ever just sit down and talk to them.
Yeah.
Let them talk to them.
No,
like
you weren't
they
one
do.
to baby us, Granny. That's that's for
But
sure.
that's what
Can't spoil us.
But that's
no,
what
no,
I,
no, no.
I told everybody I raised mine, and
By God.
little old Randy,
Randy.
Randy Wilbur around
Yeah.
there,
Mhm.
he's their one of their music players over at the church. But he said, Granny, I would never make what I made if it hadn't been for you. So
But Granny had rules, and there was no leaning away from them. When she said, "Don't go in the front room and eat," and I still to this day, it's hard for me to come in
Well,
the front
except
room
for the
and
grandchildren.
eat. Yeah, they get away with it a lot more.
But
But we
I
have
said-
things that were expected of
I
us.
said,
when
really,
we were
and they was talking to him in the hospital there the other day, something was said about how old I was. And I said, well, I'm thankful because I said I've already had 3 sisters I was younger and overstripped that I was outstripped. And one of the nurses said out there, they said, you got good genes.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
That's what that little picture was in the paper this morning about. That he was asking, he said, do you know what makes you so good looking? You got more of my genes and your mama, he said no. She said no. I said, I can't get in your genes. But she thought her daddy
You
met her
do. You
genes.
got good genes, Granny.
Yeah, she
that's
said,
for
you know
sure.
what makes you so good looking?
Well, you come from hardy stock. That's what it
Well,
is.
that's
I mean,
what
look
I
how
said.
hard Grandma and Grandpa worked, and
Yeah.
you.
I mean, it was.
You've worked hard all
They
your
were
life.
raised on just pure old country food. And you know, Mama told me one time that they had like these tornadoes they have now.
Mhm.
When her and Aunt Mary, there was her and Aunt Mary and Aunt Serena, I believe it was, the three oldest ones that come a thing and blew their house down.
Yeah, you were telling
And
me
they
about
got
that
out
the
and
other
built
day.
around a tree to keep from blowing away.
Wow.
You know, that must be an awful feeling.
I imagine.
I've been watching some of these storms, you know, but they're like that.
Yeah.
And if you get out there in it, it will blow you away.
Yeah, well, and your house and everything else with it.
But that's the reason I said, I know, with just the way things is going, it's like Billy Graham said the other night, though. He was talking about, it said the world may stand 10 more years, but he said whenever he said, but the ones that are not saved, is when the end of their world comes, is when they die. But he said all that's saved, then they're going to be in the rapture whenever it comes. And another thing about being saved, that you don't go through the rapture. God's going to come get us before that happens.
Well, let me ask you this: out of all your good things that have happened to you and your bad things and all this kind of stuff, is there anything that you, if you could do it over again, is there anything you would change or?
You know, it's one thing I wouldn't take off of Joe like I did. I'd have made it more stricter, see. But it probably wouldn't done no good. But I
Yeah.
can't see where I did wrong.
No.
Because the kids, they were so glad to see him come home.
Yeah.
And it wasn't no time for him to do the same thing over again. And Ronnie
But you wish you hadn't have
put
put up with it. Put up with it like you
but
did.
other than that, I don't say, as that said this, I don't say that there was one on this morning, she said that she had 2 kids and her husband run around on her and said, well, she told him she had a job to do at the house. That's what I told Joe. I said, Joe, I can't do my job and your job. I said, I can just do mine.
Yeah.
And you could do yours. And that's what she said. She told her husband, and she was the one that he gave it to her this morning on that thing. Said that she told him, she said, well, I could go out there. I know you run around on me, but I could go out there and leave my kids and watch you, but that wouldn't do me no good. It wouldn't do the kids no good. And so they come out on the top.
But I remember you saying that Granddaddy always came home long enough to get you pregnant, then he'd leave again. Let you
And when I
raise the
got
kids.
pregnant with a twin, he said, I'll be careful you won't get pregnant. I told him in the hospital.
Surprise.
I told him in the hospital if he hadn't been careful, how he would.
But Daddy used to be a happy. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
he was always happy. He used to cut the grass, and when he was at home, and if he was you ever caught him sober, he
Yeah.
was just the happiest old feller, you know.
Get out there and crawl around the
Yeah,
house.
just
I
he
mean,
was so different.
That
They
that must have been one of the things that was so hard for him when he got sick,
yeah,
was
not being able.
not being able to go
Do the
and
things.
do. I mean,
And
even
he
if-
would he loved baseball, and me and
Yeah.
him would sit here and listen
Yeah.
to the radio and listen to baseball games. That's about the biggest thing I can remember about having anything to do with Daddy was.
Yeah.
But we would listen to baseball games together, and
Yeah, he was just.
he was a happy fella.
And whenever he was all right, I guess it was just his rail. Well, you see,
Well,
it's
he'd
like
been
I-
on his own for so long. I mean, he'd been out.
Well,
in
he'd
the
been out
world.
on his own since he was 13.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
he liked to die. He was in the hospital almost a year when they run over and broke that leg.
And how did
and
he
he
get
gave
run?
rid-
How did he get run over?
He was
again?
working with a drugstore, delivering drugs
Uh-huh.
at 13 years old,
Uh-huh.
and a car run over.
A car, and
And,
that's what
see,
messed his leg up.
And he don't remember anything in his life before that. It was so near killed him. He never. And as far back, whenever we got our this Social Security and all, we got it straightened out. The far back as they could check him was when he was baptized in the
in
Catholic Church in
probably,
Tampa.
yeah. But supposedly, from what I know, Granddaddy was born in Cuba.
yeah.
His mother died when she was. Well, he must have been just an infant.
Well, Reverend Flora said it was longer at the time that he was, being born and along with the young
So
age.
she obviously could have not been very old, maybe 30 at the very oldest. And then his father
brought him in.
brought him to
But I
Tampa.
don't know whether that was the Gonzalez adoption.
Yeah.
We really don't know.
Yeah, we
whether-
don't know if that's was
But
his real
that's what he
name.
was
or-
raised by anyway.
So he came to live with an aunt or something,
He
didn't
lived
he?
with an aunt across the street from the fire station, he
Yeah.
said. He remembers, and I had that one little
You
picture.
said he never would talk too much. Well, of course, if he
No.
couldn't remember any of it, there wasn't
There
anything.
wasn't nothing from,
Nothing.
well, that was from
Did
them.
Granddaddy go to school?
Yeah.
He did.
He had, I think 9th or 10th grade or something,
Oh,
but
really?
he had a pretty good education. He could figure anything, and he
Yeah.
was a good hand.
He was
had a good
smart.
Yeah.
He just wasn't as physically able to do everything like Mama could. 'Cause
Yeah.
she would paint houses and do all this plumbing and stuff like that. Daddy was smart, head smart. Mama was body smart.
yeah.
She could do the
Yeah.
work that he could think up. You know,
And the
she
thing is,
usually
he tried to
did.
fix that hole there in that door. He was gonna put me a lock on that, in that big door there. He cut his hole out and he
Yeah.
never could get it locked for.
He just wasn't good around the house, but
He just
and Mama
wasn't
would do
mechanical.
it.
Like
you know.
electrician or nothing
Yeah.
like that. I done all of that.
Yeah.
And Mama's always done that.
Yeah.
She's
Well, I'm
always
glad we're
fixed
getting
in
this on
that.
tape, Dwayne. Now you know where I get it from.
But she, and she just never had him to depend on.
Yeah.
So she did everything
And Granddaddy,
herself.
generally, because of his leg, the jobs he had to take sort of menial jobs, really,
Yeah,
because,
that's what I said.
even though he was smart,
He was physically
he was
not able
physically
to
not
do the
able
job.
to do. So, what was the thing again where you said about the sewers that when
They
he worked
put
for,
it tied by the leg and
Okay,
let
this
him crawl
is-
in there to seal him with that old bag. That's what I think killed him. Because the doctor said he wasn't the type of person that would have had emphysema like he
Yeah.
had. And they said
so
that
because he was little, they would drop him in these holes with
he
a rope
crawled-
tied around
No,
him.
he crawled in these
Yeah.
storm sewers.
Yeah, to check him
And
out.
then he had to paint those. They put a paint on the inside of that seal it. They seal it on the
There's
outside.
no telling what was in that
And,
paint.
yeah, but it was that asbestos.
Yeah.
That old black stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And him down there in that hole with it.
Well, in the big, it was pipe like that.
But he did that. He worked at gas stations a
He works
lot.
at service station, but see, he worked several years. He helped put all that sewer in over your section where it's falling in there.
Oh, well, thanks.
Yeah, he worked
That's
with
how
the
long-
WPA.
That's how long it's been.
He made, what was it, Mama, $7 a week or
I
something
think it's
working on the
$30 a month.
WPA or
I believe
something?
it was $30 a month when he worked on the sewer.
And Mama said she used to make your mama a dress for a dime or something. Buy the
bought
material, the
these pictures.
pattern, buttons and everything for a dime.
Amazing.
And used to shell peas.
Yeah, me and Lucille shelled peas when we were pregnant, and we couldn't hardly even stand to smell peas up from the potato. She talked about that, how we shell them peas and being her pregnant, so
Yeah.
sick.
Yeah. Oh well, anything to make a little some money, huh?
We got I think it was nickel a quart or something anyway. He paid us and then he'd give us what peas we wanted to eat too.
Yeah.
But that's one thing about Uncle Peter. He was a real person. I mean, he told me, he said, well, if you find somebody on earth that you can't get along with, he said, just make it and get by. Just don't, get no trouble with them or anything. He said, because they're going to change or they won't get to heaven with you. So he said, they're going to change. See, so he said, don't, get in trouble with them. Because
Yeah.
said that, just look at it that way. They'll either change or they won't be up to heaven with you.
Something I just thought of. I wanted to ask you about. Who was it that got bit by the cat?
Aunt Mary.
It was a rabid cat, right?
Rabid cat, and it was her Aunt Rosa Hogan's cat that did it, her
And-
own aunt's cat.
And y'all had to cut cat's head off or
That
something?
neighbor happened to come by and cut the head off. And
So-
her arm to pry it
Because
off.
he wouldn't let go of
He
her
wouldn't
arm.
let go. See, she had her baby was 3 months old, and she was in the kitchen, and she said Letty that was her oldest daughter, the one that's out there. Let's see, is Letty? No, Letty just died not very long ago. Lily, she just died in the nursing home, but I didn't even get to go to her funeral. I think she did. I can't even remember now. But anyway, the kitchen was way up high. You could walk under her kitchen, and that was where they was in the kitchen. And the chickens, something was under the kitchen, and she told Lily that was Rhoda's daughter, said, go out and see what's after them chicken. And when she bent over like that, the cat come out and got on Lily. And her mama went out there and got the cat off, and he latched on her arm. But Lily had to take the shot
She
too.
did.
But see, Aunt Mary was that best having that 3-month-old baby and everything. And Lenny just died not very long ago.
Yeah.
They said she was, what's that Pauline Cox that I was
Yeah.
doing it for. She said that she was crazy practically all her life. She'd have those nervous spells, and said her husband was even scared of her. She was married to Pauline's brother,
Wow.
you know. But you see, I mean, that affected her.
Yeah.
She's a tall, pretty girl. There was the other sisters was there.
Well, it could have, made her nuts. I mean,
But even after she took all of her shots before she went mad, and she'd go even after while she was taking those shots. It was the spring of the year, and she'd go out and sit on a stump and let the kids. She wanted to burn the corn stalks and get the crop ready for going. And she'd go out there and sit on the stump because she wasn't able to do anything, to be out there to watch those kids so they wouldn't get hurt. But she was a real person.
yeah.
She was more like I am. She could do anything.
Well, your Aunt Mary, she was one of your favorite aunts.
Yeah,
wasn't she?
Aunt Mary and Aunt Freda.
Yeah.
Well, all of them were sisters. Now, Aunt Rosa, me and Aunt Rosa was never very close together.
Yeah.
Aunt Rosa lived down the street here when she got killed.
How'd she get killed?
Car wreck. They was coming from a clinic. They went out there and sold a house or something, and they were arguing coming back. And I think Lawrence Howard, I think pulled out, went around, and something struck her, and then knocked her head over against that old, the cars then had metal, and that's so she was to have her, Miss Williams down there was having some problem, and Miss Williams went and talked to Reverend Flora, and Miss Williams, Reverend Flora told her, well, said, get along with her, because she's not going to live very much longer. I
was
see
right,
she could
huh?
see that, but she
Yeah.
didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Reverend Flora could see things. Now, just like it was when her and her husband died, she had this old time.
Oh, she was married? Reverend Flora was?
Yeah, she was married to a Torter. She went by Reverend Flora Price
Yeah.
Torter, see. But there's old time city things that's got like a star like on them, on the old city burners, on the stoves.
Oh,
back
yeah,
then.
yeah, okay.
And when she lived on that East Adams down there, that blew off. That little burner thing blew off and went through the window and knocked a 3-prong out of it. And I was up there, and she said, "There's 3. We're going to lose 3 at our church or something. We're going to lose 3 out of our." Well, I guess she meant our church family. And you know who it was? Her husband, and her mama.
You're kidding.
But
That's
see, she
creepy.
knew this was happening.
Yeah. That's creepy, right?
They all died in about
She
3 or
was
4
a
weeks.
fascinating lady, even
I would
as
have
we
loved.
were.
I would have loved to
young.
have
And
known
so
her. I
after
mean,
she
just-
died, though, every time I get disgusted, well, she's one of the things that always helped me. And Joe, she
Yeah,
talked
get
to
through.
her. And but when she died for years and years, when I'd call her and I'd be down the dump, she'd say, "Dicie, you're going up the ladder. You can't come down." And which years and years, I've just now got to where that I don't dream of her. She's walking through the pine woods with that white robe on. And she's going, always going. And she told me, she said, "You don't ever come down, you just keep climbing." But it was her vision, I think it's like I told somebody the other day, her spirit still works with me. When
Well,
go-
yeah, hardly a day goes by that you don't say something
that you
about her
don't
or
think about her.
yeah.
I said, I guess that's
How long from the time you met her, how long was y'all's association?
well, up until from the time.
You say you met her
yeah.
when Mama got sick, when
Yeah,
she was
and
5 or
then-
6 years old.
And Earl was about, even when we was going to church over there, Earl was good side. The babies
Yeah,
was
we were
born.
in elementary school, and then the boys were born.
The boy, when I was
So
little.
that was
Whenever,
good.
cause
I had
they used
them-
to, there
I
used to
had
be an
them-
old couch in the back of the church, a red velvet old couch, so big stuffed couch, and the boys used to sleep on that during church.
And they
So
they
they were
killed
just
about it, that
little
they'd
kids.
sit up with me till the singing was over, and then they'd go back there. And Donnie can tell me he still remembers all of those things that happened to him.
Yeah.
So that shows what you give a baby when they're little. That's what me and Betty was talking about tonight. The reason she wanted her Ronnie to go see Jimmy, because he says he's asked a lot.
Who's Jimmy?
So Betty's son. I told you she wants you to call. She's got some.
Oh,
About
that-
Betty
okay,
Rack the
okay,
first of the
yeah.
week. The first of the week, she said
Okay.
she wants you to talk to you, and then you can come talk to me face to face about something about her and or somebody that she knows that she's got cancer, that she won't live about her. They told her that
Okay, I'll call her.
that somebody,
I'll call
and
her.
I could hear her pretty good after she got straightened out. But she said that she could tell you then what was always
Okay.
wrong with her
How
legs
long
and
do you
bad.
know when
And
they
she was
died?
her husband was doing yard work, and she don't have that little